How simple the solution. Discourses with Master Teacher. Note: these are transcripts of recorded talks given through the revelatory mind of Master Teacher. Little editing has been done in hope of maintaining and conveying the exciting, spontaneous spiritual continuity. Published by Endeavor Academy, Wisconsin Dells, USA. themasterteacher.tv. First discourse. How simple the solution. Ostensibly, we are teaching a program of enlightenment. Supposedly, we are teaching there is a manner in which you can change your mind and by that process eliminate and transform the dilemma that you experience here on earth in association with yourself, with death and with time. One of the requisites to this sort of teaching would inevitably finally be that the earthling, the consciousness, is aware of his dilemma. If you want to join me with this would be sort of rambling kitchen talk. There's no reason why we can't have a discussion of this, because there is no teaching that does not or cannot involve the problem in which there is an attempted solution. But there is a problem in regard to human existence on the planet Earth that's axiomatic, with the beginning of his consciousness in association with his surroundings. And he's taught immediately, the human mind, to defend himself and associate himself in a form of reality that constitutes memories that his parents and his society or his species have in regard to what he is. Now, those of you who are sitting with me have obviously evolved a human pattern or a perceptual association with yourself that you define as reality. Isn't it so? This is going to be the plaintive kitchen talk, because if you strip everything that's ever been said since the beginning of time, it's going to arrive at what? The dilemma of purpose. Can I make this plainer for you? The dilemma of the reason why you are here. The dilemma of what? Of who you are. What are you? Now, it's easy for your associates in the world to say, well, I have solved that problem. I'm an accountant, or I'm a housewife, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a human being, or I'm a Methodist, or a Shiite Muslim who's going to kill all Christians. I'm not interested in what you are. Those of you who arrive at the conclusion that who you are does not satisfy you in relationship to the consciousness of eternity that you feel, will continue to do what? Search for a justification for yourself. This is really basic. But it is so basic that it is inevitably true. Now, to the direct extent, by whatever means, you are able to satiate your need to know who you are. And that's arrived at, perhaps by religious motivations, perhaps by finding answers in your descriptions of the Brazilian beetle, or in how many constellations there are in the sky, or in the construction of a master computer that can direct and ascertain more rapidly than the human brain the number of molecules in whatever, and on and on. So you find satisfaction. It doesn't sustain you, but it sustains you sufficiently. Until what? Until death. It sustains you within your time framework until your demise. Well, many of you, and certainly I did very early in my life, questioned the notation that my existence or my life here on this planet was based on my annihilation, was based on the eventual succumbing. It always seemed very strange to me. It seemed crazy to me. And you could give me a, well, you'll know better later on, or that's the will of God, or perhaps we don't know that. That's a door you can go through, or you're going to be in a different place, or whatever reasons you gave me. It never satisfied me. I felt the frustration of my existence in relationship with pain. The question very early for me, for those of you who may not know who I am, it doesn't really make a difference. You won't be right anyway. But hopefully you'll be able to see that I am speaking to you from what you could be termed as a lucid or a light mind. I've been through some very dramatic experiences. You guys smile because many of you know of my experiences and indeed are having these experiences yourself. We are going to arrive finally at the statement that the whole process that has ever been taught in the idea of gaining of knowledge and advanced associations of perception will involve inevitably what you would term Christian mysticism or transformation of the mind to a new range of consciousness. We're jumping the gun here. I'd rather give you the premises by which you will seek this conclusion. It was very obvious to me, and this came very early in my philosophy of life, perhaps because of my early witnesses to mass death with the bomb and the incredible Holocaust, and all the things that went with the annihilation of individual consciousnesses. But it became obvious to me that there was no solution to the meaning of life if finally it was going to be associated with annihilation. But when I examined that, I found in my mind a statement. Perhaps you could call it a statement of inevitability, of wholeness, or truth, or a God, or love, or finally a single purpose of love and understanding, an ontological, primordial realization of wholeness that is in all of us, that could not be satisfied by associate evilness or associate separateness, simply because finally my mind would not draw the conclusion of pain and death and sickness and greed and hatred and possession in association with love. The manners in which I saw consciousness as love and lose seeming frustrating and unjust to me. I questioned very early why it is I always and everyone here loses the things they love, so that their reality finally has to be based on what? Pain and death. Darn it. Now I understand that the human condition of existence, the master teacher Jesus in the Course in Miracles calls this fear. He has simple statements that need examining in the Course in Miracles like love is letting go of fear. The condition of perceptual mind I saw very early was fearful. And this is taken for granted by the perceptual mind that identifies itself in a lack or in an existent situation. But finally, somewhere within that framework, many of you began to feel the frustration of the inevitability of your own annihilation. Either moment by moment or in subsequent aging process, the process of getting old, wrinkled and ending up in a nursing home or run over by a beer truck or having your children desert you. All the things that you really don't like to look at, but all the things that must inevitably be true. Now, to the direct extent that you begin to question yourself in that association, you will seek and did seek an answer to the dilemma. You found somewhere along the line that there isn't any answer here. Wow, this is a big step, isn't it? Now, this can manifest itself in everything from adolescent schizophrenia, where the consciousness becomes aware very early that the purpose in life is death, So he cuts his wrists and dies. But the conclusion in your own mind and the dilemma was that you can see reasonably that annihilation is not a solution, because no matter how much you can ascribe to it, it cannot but venture to declare a continuing consciousness at some state within the framework of yourself. Isn't it so? Let me hear you say yes. Now on this then, we will formulate what? Religions. We're going to have a heaven where we're going to have reincarnation, where we'll all return. And this seems very reasonable to me, but it didn't solve my dilemma. You know why? Because the question that persisted with me at that point was this: what is the reason then still for life? Why is it that if there is this love and this understanding and this kindness, and in my heartfelt certainty, this compassion for my brother, why is it that we didn't have it? Why couldn't we find it? Where was it? This is the beginning of a real spiritual search now. Where is that satiated? Where did you individually find a relief for your existence in association with pain and death? All earth consciousnesses within the framework of time, each moment, find a relief within their perception for their existence. This is fundamental teaching. If they stopped for just a moment and acknowledged the impossibility of their situation, I teach you that you would begin the transformative process. This is the whole teaching of A Course in Miracles. It is indeed the whole teaching of all processes to enlightenment, the absolute notation that there is a consciousness beyond perception. The dilemma that arises then is that if there is a consciousness beyond this perception, that it is beneficent and good and loving, how does it make allowances for the pain and death that I am experiencing? Now, there literally is no solution to this question. Very basically, if you begin with the premise, and this is really fundamental, but here is the core of the problem, if you begin the fundamental assertion that there is an all-powerful, all-good force, call it God, or call it wholeness, or call it unity, call it non-conflictual reality, call it anything you want, you are left with the dilemma that if it is all good and allows the pain and death of earth to exist within its awareness, it is not all-powerful and therefore be beset by a force that can be in conflict with it. If it is all-powerful in wholeness and recognition and allows for the terrible injustices and inevitable demise of the consciousness in association with the earth, and doesn't do anything about it, it is not all good. What you have formulated here within your own perception is a God. But in the long run, you must consider your God to be unjust, because if he is true and whole, why does he allow these things to exist? This is the exact condition that Aquinas would arrive at in a discussion with another brother, that Augustine, that all religions and philosophies have faced in the dilemma of the confrontation of good and evil. The problem is that the admission of good and evil, of evil at all, what you call duality, subtracts the possibility of a total good. And here is always where the conflict will come. Listen to me. There is no solution to this problem but one: that good does not know of evil. I'll go right up to it. This is the whole Buddhistic teaching, that a conceptual God is impossible. The conclusion you must arrive at is that of a non-judgmental whole thing. And you may do that in some sort of declaration of Dharma, or in the Judaic tradition of a God that we may not speak of, a God that does not know us, a God that does not know about this at all. That's a statement of reasonable Socratic truth. Good cannot know of evil. All right, now I'm sitting with that. I know that. How does that solve my problem? The idea that truth and wholeness does not know of this does not solve my problem of my association with the evil and death and all the things that are around here. Isn't that strange? Now, very simply and logically, if there is a good and wholeness that I'm able to express, it must be that I know of it in my own mind, all right? Now, if there is no conflicting force in association with the good, it must be that my mind is what it is in conflict with the good. A big step here now. Why? We're into existentialism. We're into what? Subjective reality. We are making a statement that the only problem and solution is contained within my own reference, my own framework. I've brought the problem where? Into focus. This is a big step. Why? I can't blame good without the admission that good is evil. So I've subtracted that. I can't claim evil outside of me without the denial that there is a positive good, which puts me in a position of attempting to judge what's good and evil, which is exactly what the human dilemma is. So if I can get rid of that evil is not outside myself, I can accept the notation that my mind is in conflict. If that is so, then the solution to the conflict must be in my mind. Hey, we're getting it. We're very close to it. Now you begin to look around and you say, yes, there's much evidence of a transformative process of mind where I individually can find peace and can find grace, can find happiness within my own construction. Obviously, the search for that truth, and this seems strange, but not if you really look at it, must be in a direct association with the expression of the problem within the psychology of the individual. Isn't this so? If he doesn't feel the pain, if he found a solution to his personality, to who he is, and I don't care, or whether it is with drugs, or whether it is with children, or whether it is with family, or whether it is with an establishment, whether it is with just coping and hanging on to death, whether it is with eros and going out and having a party and saying, I don't care, he has found a solution. That consciousness really won't care about this talk, will he? He'll say, well, that's nice for you, but I've solved the problem. So he's not going to listen to a Christ voice. This is Jesus Christ, or my awakened voice, that proclaims to you that your kingdom is not of this world, and that the problem of truth cannot be solved in the reciprocity or associate ideas of the first covenant, the idea that you're going to give something to get something back, but only in the assertion of the wholeness of single power that must emanate finally from your own mind. So we're going to sit here then and ramble and tell you, yes, in all of history of man, there has always been known a process. Jesus calls it, A Course in Miracles, of enlightenment, an initiation, a transformation, a revelation, a resurrection of the mind to the certainty of its wholeness. It's really not a secret now. Why is it then that those on earth do not know it? Very simply, because somewhere within the details of subjectivity, it smacks of supermind. It smacks of a mind that could become more manipulative in its own associations. It is an expression that finally power in perception corrupts. Actually, the whole teaching is one of the necessity, and this is the only way it can be reached or surrender, to give up, to let go, to resist not evil, to not participate in the functioning of your own perceptual mind in association with itself. Of course, if you proceed to that, You'll also be condemned and judged because you're not participating in the sociological death ritual. Your brothers are going to say, "Come die with us. Come on, you have a responsibility of death here." And you still do. So the solution must be, and will be, and is declared to be, in the transformation of your mind. How that can come about and how that comes about is contained in the traditions and historic references of mystical Christianity, Sufism, occult Buddhistic and Hinduistic teaching, in everything in astrology, in the declarations of Society of Whole Minds, brotherhood perhaps. To the direct extent that the world feels this pain, it solves its solutions through pacifism, to expression of a need to come together and communicate on up to the reaches of the certainty of whole communication in the relationships of brothers, but only through what? The transformation or the change of your mind. The declaration of perceptual existentialism, reality, is the beginning of enlightenment and will not be attained otherwise. The resistance and the determination of perceptual mind to blame objectively something outside of itself for its dilemma is pervasive because the perceptual consciousness is in association with objective reality. We set a course then only of transformation. Here's the big dilemma. If you care to look at it at all, you have in your mind an idea of changing your mind and arriving, say, at the conclusion of truth. Since you are in a body association, I make the declaration that enlightenment and transformation involves the transformation of the physical body. This is the whole treatment of A Course in Miracles. Consciousnesses in perception choose to separate the mind from the bodies with the statement, "I'm not a body and I can find a good mind." Obviously, if they are in association with the body in whatever framework of perception they're in, that must be the change of the whole self that brings enlightenment. It's not going to occur without it. This is where we begin our teachings. We begin our teachings with the statement that God cannot be known because He is, that I cannot know Him perceptually but through a transformation of my mind. I may recognize that I'm a part of that whole and am in fact that whole thing. This is all I teach. This is all that all initiations will teach. The problem obviously is that it must include the relinquishment of myself in associations with the things that I heretofore have been given value. Literally, I must let go and let God. I must stop pursuing the advantages of existence. Is this dying and being born again? Yes. You can say it a million ways, and until you feel the pain of existence sufficiently, we might term it, to begin to search for a real source contained within you in association with your mind, you will continue to participate in the ritual of time, the ritual of the beginning acknowledgement of associations with your own annihilation. This is an advanced course. This is for consciousnesses that, number one, have seen the dilemma, and number two, because of their search, have begun to feel the stirrings through imagery, through what you would call perhaps revelation, through individual episodes of association with death, perhaps, have felt the change that's occurring in their minds in perhaps a mystical fashion, by whatever means. They have made that admission, and now I can declare to them, yes, brother, this is going on in your mind. This is an awakening, a physical awakening in your own mind that you can find. This is the declaration of A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles by the consciousness Jesus Christ out of body is nothing but a certain declaration of the transformation of your mind to wholeness. So we sit here, and I sit here with this mind and make this declaration. I am fully aware, as you will be now, in your completion of the processes. And many of you are going to go out into the world with this message, that you will be denied and attacked. Jesus makes a very simple statement in the Course when he says, let's face it, if you can't find the Christ, you'll kill him, because the condition of your existence in limitation must be a denial of the wholeness of you. But if you will start with that premise, you will assume that you could call a defenseless posture. You will begin to practice beatitudes through love, understanding, and forgiveness. You won't hold the grievance of your past time associations. Now you are into the mechanism of transformation of the mind. You will then begin to experience the miracle through your non-participation, through the emergence of a whole mind that transcends any limited perceptions you previously had about yourself. Isn't that glorious? That you could actually do this in your mind? Of course you can. The most natural condition of yourself is to know who you are. If you are not yet doing A Course in Miracles, you might want to start doing it. We will use it as a whole frame of reference. Read lesson 139 and you'll read it very carefully. It is the greatest, most Socratic framework of consciousness that's ever been expressed in the world. It's a statement that it's possible for you not to know, that it's impossible for you not to know yourself. That'll help you, especially those of you with high egos or high reasoning processes that have reached the conclusion that you somehow have satisfied yourself in a relationship with yourself without addressing the fundamental problem of time versus eternity. If there is time, eternity is impossible. If eternity or wholeness is true, there is no time. This is the beginning statement of A Course in Miracles. Do you like that? Anything that is not forever is not real. Therefore, the earth is not real. That's fun. You come and join us here and make some of these statements with us and enjoy the meditation that's bringing about the transformation of the mind and body occurring now within this frame of reference. What we're saying is that contained within what we have just said is the declaration of the initiation process of the physical transformation. You can call that the revolution of the whole consciousness, the secret wisdom, the admission of the philosophia perennis. I guess it must be hanging out there somewhere. The dilemma that you are going to have with this, if you decide it's a dilemma, it's a conflict. The notation that spirituality is physical is extremely difficult to present because it admits to the dichotomy of the association. It's one thing to declare God in heaven, it's another thing to declare God is you, to the recognition of your mind, or that you are the only living Son of God, or that consciousness is singular. This is the Gnostic tradition of direct revelation that has always been persecuted in objective reality, isn't it? That is the idea that, as Master Jesus would proclaim it, all earth establishments are false, that perception itself is false, that through non-participation in society, through non-defense, you will come by a revelatory process to behold the wholeness of the universe. That has to be attacked here because perceptual consciousness is the denial of wholeness. This is how simple this is. The advanced notation and the one where it goes so-called undercover is the declaration that it is a physical process. The workbook of A Course in Miracles begins and ends with the statement that through the relinquishment of the limited self, physically you will undergo a change of mind. All of the notations in regard to facing the veil. There are moments in the text where it says this moment can be terrible. When through your meditations you have subtracted your defense mechanisms sufficiently to be confronted by the horror of your perceptual associations with death. This is a whole idea of mystical ring pass not, or the presentation of yourself to the guardians of the door of death, to the admission that you are undergoing a process of death, aren't you? Know ye not you must be born again? Nicodemus, John 3:3. All of the statements of initiation have to finally somewhere involve the admission of death. You have denied physical death. You must deny the idea of time, which is physical death. You must dare make the assertion of the necessity to be born again, to undergo a process of relinquishment that will identify itself with fear, won't it? How could it not do it? The teachings of A Course in Miracles, as I will direct you, are to give you through choice, that is, through the elimination of temptation, as Jesus would say, to arrive at the conclusion that you have no choice in this matter. The whole idea that there is a revolution of the mind possible, the idea of evolution, must include, and does include, the certainty that there is a power that you are involving too. That's a progression of the mind in the relinquishment of itself, and hopefully, and now we'll go back to Master Jesus for a minute, he says, we are going to shorten time by increasing the rapidity of associate experiences within the drama of your own mind to bring about more rapidly the conclusion of your own death association. This is the physical transformation of your body. If you want to look at it, those of you who think that Christianity does not teach physical transformation are sadly mistaken. Our whole mystical notation is with the certainty of the reconstruction of the body of Christ into a whole solid unit. I don't care where you hear this. We are teaching transformation of body-mind. Does that connect inevitably with the initiation process? Does that connect with the Eastern tradition of awakening of perhaps the Kundalini? Of course. We are teaching a glandular revolution, that this is an advanced idea. I don't need to get into it, but I would think that people in a Christian modality who are doing A Course in Miracles will begin to literally experience some sorts of visions, some sorts of revelations in the relinquishment of the egos, in the letting go of themselves. I don't know how you could help but do it. The whole process is nothing but to bring about. And now we have got this hanging out a little bit here. But if you want to let it hang out, the reason that you are here is that you begin to have these experiences. If you would like to get into the tradition of the awakening of the Kundalini, I'll be happy to address that sometime. If you would like to look at the mystical associations of the apocalypse, for example, in the declaration that the glandular associations were the churches as expressed in the 7 chakras in the body, we do that here. You guys want to hear about that? We do that. What we're saying is this. The admission that you are undergoing a transformation of the wholeness of you, whom part of you, to the truth will include all the traditions and will subtract nothing from your determination to be enlightened. The statement of Jesus in the Course is this. Very simply, full purpose or full pursuit of full endeavor or full commitment or full giving yourself, which is a full forgiving of yourself, is what enlightenment is. And obviously this is so. A full commitment to a God would have to lead to God immediately. It could not. Now, this is the practice then that we are undergoing in the raising of this energy in your mind, and I'm using the raising of the energy advisedly because that's the admission that you are undergoing physiological changes in your systems. Of course, I'm aware of this. There's no teaching in any tradition, and this includes the Christian one, that will not direct itself to that transformation that is occurring. The maturation of your body-mind, whole body-mind association. Jesus calls it preparation of your body to be a perfect communicative device. He augments that with dramatic statements like, at no time is the body really real. It is always either thought of or anticipated, so that the mechanism of meditation is the teaching of the coming into your whole mind. When addressing the body then, the teaching becomes pay the body no mind. It will be whole and service you absolutely sufficiently to your own enlightenment. Interestingly enough, this admission has caused many of your brothers to undergo the experience of youthfulness association, vitality, love, wholeness, healing, and all the delightful things that go with the occurrence of transformation. What the hell? Pardon me. What the heck? What the heaven? We are teaching love and forgiveness here. The consciousness discovers that through the direction of his mind in determination to find this, he begins to feel the peace of absolute commitment. This is a transcendent peace, isn't it? If you finally decide that you're going to have this at any cost, you discover it costs nothing. But you can't know that until you determine you have it at all cost, which is nothing but giving up anything you value. Jesus teaches it, and you can have everything you value by simply giving it away. But it requires that you give it away totally to know that you are perfect and whole in the love of God and the certainty of you in that relationship. Is that physical? Hey, will miracles occur to sustain you with that? Oh, they're happening all around the world. There are miracles going on everywhere. It's just that your limited perception holds you in the bondage of associate sequential time. So you hold yourself in time and get old. That's nonsense. There isn't any death. There's no such thing as death. There's no such thing as getting old. And there's no such thing as sickness. You're not overcoming anything. They don't exist. This is my fundamental teaching. This is the teachings of all awakened consciousnesses. We don't admit that you are evil coming to good. We maintain and declare that evil does not exist. Science of the mind. We're making empathic statements, and this was early in the talk, that this isn't real, that this is a dream. If it has any reality at all, it would have to have all reality, and then death would be real. If death is real, there's no God. How simple, therefore. This is not real. Since I'm in a condition of reality versus unreality, I'm into the course again, I can come to know that through my own initiative and not in any other fashion. I cannot get it by questioning my mind's effects. I can't find it here because it isn't here. I have constructed in my mind a seal of unreality. There's literally no communication going on between reality and the associations of perceptual consciousness that is termed earth. This is a statement of fact, that being true, you can find it. If there is communication, you can never find it because you then become the assertion of the duality. And I know this is fundamental, but the admission of that and the subsequent occurrences of the manifestations of continuing phenomena, which you call a miracle, is a very advanced teaching. I suppose somewhere within the framework of society it's attacked and denied because the world is associated with the need to survive and exist. Now you will go out and proclaim, "No, dear teacher, this is you, you're the cause of this." As Jesus would say, the sole necessity of a miracle worker is to bring about the atonement in himself. That realization, the realization that the world is literally your mind construct, is all that I teach. Why should that be so difficult? Dear brother, there's 1,000, million, trillion, zillion Earths. What's wrong with this Earth being your concept or your dream of reality? The moment that you make that acknowledgement, you begin in your own mind to bring about atonement, to literally forgive yourself for your guilt associations that have caused you to deny and attack reality. I assure you that there's no war going on. The truth is absolutely beneficent, non-conflictual. Any conflict that you feel now in regard to what I'm saying is just a residual of karma memory in your determination to bring about your own death. You invented time. Jesus, so lovely in the Course, says, "Choose not to die, Son of God. You made a bargain, but you cannot keep it. There's no such thing. It's absurd." The idea of termination itself is the most insane, absurd notion that could never come. This may appear to be advanced teaching. It really is not. It's just ultimately totally simple. Consciousness of beingness is whole and singular, and you are that. Can you come to know that through this hatching that is going on in you, through this metamorphosis going on? Of course, everything that is occurring now within your framework is to bring about this simple admission. Isn't it time that you looked at yourself within your own dream and made the declaration that you are the determiner of your own destiny in association with time? Come on, you guys, you smile at me. You feel this reference, this new frame of reference that is permeating your mind. It makes you very happy. Let those that can hear, hear. This is a positive statement that sin and death and pain and destruction and lack have no reality at all. And by your declaration of determination of faith, if you want to call it that there is a whole source of reality. You can come to know this through the transformation of your mind. I say that to you from a transformed mind, having undergone what you would term the initiation. I teach from that frame of reference. If you can tell the difference in what we are saying here, then you will very rapidly decide to pursue this. This is a step above the perceptual admission, for example, that the Course was written by Jesus Christ. This is the declaration of the transformation process itself. This is a Course in Miracles taught from the very first page to the last. It's nothing but that. We will always be what? Confronting the consciousness at his denial point, at a point where he continues to give himself value in association with the process that he's undergoing. I understand the dichotomy occurs here. Our declaration is that there is finally no process. The admission of the necessity that the impossible occurred is stated very simply in the teachings of a Course, where it says that we are literally dealing with an impossible situation. A sleeping consciousness on the verge of his own glorious awakening. those of you who can hear this, finally, it's coming out. The brothers will be going around the world and they are going to teach this and more, and they will gather together in the declarations of forgiveness, of grievance associations, of the love they have for their brothers and the forgiveness that must be the beginning of the admission of their whole selves. This is what we say. So write us here and call us or come and see us. We'll be around you now. Speaking of the Aquarian conspiracies and speaking of whole minds, you look at the things that are happening in this world. Look how the world is turned upside down politically and sociologically. And this will give you an idea of the incredible happenings going on now in this unit of mind, this mutual declaration of this brotherhood. How exciting. You can't fail if you can get into your mind the certainty that no matter what you do, you can't fail. It will shorten your time a lot. That this is a course in relinquishment. Nobody likes the word surrender, but why not? The decision not to act through your own perceptions, the decision not to be the factoring. Master Jesus says you have an authority problem. You are not the author of the universe. If you will make that admission, the identity of the author emerges as you in the union of your heart and mind with God. How very beautiful. How you can call it anything you want. You can become whole mind and extend from you or literally create your mind with that certainty. That's exciting. The more that these visions begin to occur to you, the more you bring it all together. Everything that happens and all these miracles are going on. How exciting to find all around you the evidence of the single occurrence in your mind. You bring all of time together in this single episode of transformation. Wow. We are very happy that you have come now to join us.